The Hunger Games. Were any of the victors in the third quarter quell chosen by accident? Haymitch's prequel makes it seem unlikely. The Hunger Games' newest book, Sunrise on the Reaping, reveals that there is more to the year that Haymitch won the Hunger Games than we ever could have expected, which in turn changes the nature of the quarter quell that would happen next. Haymitch is illegally reaped for the 50th Hunger Games and second quarter quell, for which the Capitol demands twice as many tributes as usual. 25 years later, for the third quell, they announce that the tributes will be former victors of the Hunger Games, with each district having at least one male and female victor to offer at that point. Those who are forced to return to the Hunger Games with Katniss and Peeta in the third quarter quell include Mags, Finnick, Wiress, Beetee, and Johanna. In one of Sunrise on the Reaping's surprises, Mags and Wiress turn out to be mentoring District 12's tributes that year. Meanwhile, Beetee is being punished for an attempted insurrection by having to mentor his son. The Capitol certainly chooses tributes rather than leaving it to the lottery when it serves their purpose, and the actions of the victors in Sunrise on the Reaping throw into question their selection for the next quarter quell. At the time of the third quarter quell, the Capitol was dealing with the biggest threat of unrest in the districts since the Dark Days, inspired by Katniss and Peeta's defiant actions in the games. As Katniss and Peeta are symbols of the growing rebellion, the Capitol sees that the way to end the uprisings is through them. When having Katniss and Peeta spout scripted speeches during their victory tour fails, President Snow and his allies seemingly utilize the timely arrival of the quarter quell to announce the new terms that send the District 12 pair back to the arena. Theoretically, all the twists for the quarter quells were laid out by the creators of the Hunger Games immediately after the war ended. However, Katniss doubts that this is the case, as the rules for her quell are too perfect for the problems the Capitol faces at that moment. She also realizes that there is power in killing all these victors, as the people who have survived the Capitol's cruelty. What she doesn't realize is that the Capitol's plot may have gone beyond the broad symbolism of any victor. Sunrise on the Reaping reveals that several of the victors who will be chosen for the 75th Hunger Games and participate in the plan to rescue Katniss and Peeta from the arena led a failed attempt to take down the arena during Haymitch's games. Beetee figured out much of the technology involved to flood the arena's catacombs, recruiting Haymitch to help and relying on his son Ampert as well. Mags and Wiress were also in on it, as District 12's mentors. They and Beetee were all caught by the Capitol and severely punished. Plutarch Heavensbee was also an ally to this plan, but seems to have gotten out of it without the Capitol realizing his involvement. Finnick and Johanna are still in the future at this time, but become part of the escape plan for the 75th Games. The Capitol certainly had reason to suspect that Finnick might have become a part of this group of rebels, given his close relationship with Mags. Johanna, meanwhile, was always something of a loose cannon, with no loved ones the Capitol could hold against her, who would likely jump at the chance to take them down. Sunrise on the Reaping shows us that nearly all the people who end up in the third quarter quell are people the Capitol knew would try to overthrow them because they had done so before. Therefore, it seems more likely than ever that the Capitol deliberately chose most of the tributes for these games, rigging several reapings. Within the careers of 1 and 2, the Capitol would have had less control given the frequency of volunteering in these districts, but also less reason to think these victors were possible rebels. They certainly wanted Peeta in the games, and may have seen to it that Haymitch's name was drawn, knowing Peeta would volunteer. They probably could have guessed Mags would do the same for Annie, or possibly for several District 4 victors. Beetee, Wiress, Finnick, and Johanna were all possible threats to them, and we have no way of knowing what the other victors selected might have done to arouse suspicion. However, if Sunrise on the Reaping proves anything, it's that reaping these people might have been even more dangerous, as they were ready to attempt this plan as many times as needed.